Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. I just had a client a couple days ago call me, and really in a low place. And she's been working on nutrition, things like that. And these are not uncommon phone calls, because we'll have stress and work and everything all of a sudden just seems against us. And we get into a place of quite unhappiness. I think what I should also do eventually is do maybe a 4 or 5 or 6 part series podcast wise on, what are personalities? There's some dominant personalities, and some of you out there maybe have studied that. Maybe you've been, unhappy enough that you've really tried to figure out your own stuff, and you've come across things like the obliger personality or the upholder or the questioner or the rebel. Those are the kind of the 4 majors, and there's some mixes in there. But people that tend to get walked on and walked all over will have what we call an obliger personality. Now, the great thing about an obliger is that they're a wonderful mom. They're very much accountable to other people's schedule and stuff. They're dependable because they feel like they must please you. And so they will literally clear their schedule to do your stuff, and they're very easily walked upon. And I think it's important that if you know that you're one of these people, that you have somebody around you that you trust, that is going to know that when you are being overstretched and overcommitted, because you won't stop until you basically rebel. And we want to protect you because you're an important individual to get things done. And if I'm a questioner, which I am, and so I question everything, I have a high amount of accountability to myself. If I know that something must be done, I will do it. And so people, they'll say, well, how do you stick with your diet, or how do you stick with this, or how do you stick with working out? I just can't seem to do it. They're oftentimes more of an obliger personality. They're not accountable to themselves. They're accountable to other people. So they have to figure out, how do they become accountable to other people to make things happen for them in their own life? And that's okay, as long as you know who you are and you have a boundary. So I want to at least expand upon what this young lady was really going through. She had gone through, tough stuff at work, tough things at home, and then one of her near friends really attacked her, and then all of a sudden she, explosively unloaded on her because she just had had enough. And now she feels really bad about that. Of course, I think we all would, but she feels even worse. And now she's eating uncontrollable, and she's doing things that are just harmful. And ultimately, how do we bring ourselves out of that is one in which it takes practice, for lack of a better way to put it. But there is no quick fix to something like that, because we have mechanisms inside of our own brain. And as we watch those mechanisms and begin to break them down, we become better and better. So I want to talk about maybe just briefly of what my own journey was in that process. And I explained it to her at the same rate. When I first realized that I actually was causing myself all of my own mental unhappiness, for lack of a better way to put it, but really my own turmoil, my own anguish. And I would literally be 3 or 4 days deep in a bad day. You'd look around, you'd say, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. And by, 10 o'clock in the morning, we decide to have a bad day. And we tell everybody, I'm having a bad day. And that just fortifies that thought in our mind. And now we get people around us to agree with us and say, yeah, you really are having a bad day. I mean, doesn't that sound kind of insane to do? But we do it. And I used to do it. And I remember having a bad day, and it now had stretched to 3 days. And I woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm in control of my day. And the next time something happened that started me on this cascade event that led me down this dark path, it was about 2.5 days, and I realized what I was doing and pulled myself out of it. And then it was 2 days the next time. And then it was a day the next time. And then it was 8 hours. And then it was 4 hours when I woke up. And then it was 2 hours until I woke up. And so as each time this happened, I became more aware more quickly. But I was really in new territory because nobody ever coached me through it. You now have a podcast that you can move back to and have a little, like almost an alert in your phone that says, having a bad day, here's your podcast, and you can listen to this. And so what we're going to do is in order to start changing those patterns in our brain, we have to start acknowledging some truths. And we've talked about that on prior podcasts. And the one that I love the most is taking responsibility for you and your stuff. Now, people are going to try to dump their stuff on you like this gal had happened to her. But the ultimate thing is to begin to really realize your own value. And this is where I want to take you. And so if right now, I think we've done a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about what if there was no past and no future? If you could wipe it out in your mind, your past is gone, your future is not set, and you're just right here, right now. And I had her do this, and immediately she grasped it. She says, oh my gosh, it would be so peaceful. And she was right, because the mind stops. It doesn't have anything to worry about in the future or lament upon in the past or be afraid of that's going to catch up to her. And so when we wipe those two things out, we begin to have this peacefulness that enters. Well, how does peace feel to the brain? In the beginning, some of you might say, well, it's kind of scary. I suppose it could be until you realize if you don't have any thought coming in, you're still alive. You're still okay. You're still breathing. You're just at peace. Well, I would just sit there in a room and do nothing all day? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that you would be at peace. And now your real self that actually is intact and connected to everything and spirit now begins to direct you in a much more dynamic, much more happy, much more amazing existence. And so to acknowledge that little bit becomes important, and to say, you know what, I still am really, I'm really responsible for my ability to either calm my brain down and not point fingers at people and not judge, not criticize, not complain, but simply take where I am now and say, you know what, this is what I have, and it's okay for now. And what you have may not be necessarily okay. There may be some really serious conditions that you're in right now, or situations that I would say are less than okay. But it doesn't mean that I can't take a few moments just to be okay within myself and begin to allow that wonderful guidance that's always there for all of us to begin to guide you out and lead you out of the circumstance that you are in right now. Because I think in our own power, we cannot do that. And we tend to falter, and we tend to go in circles and ruminate or mentally mash over these negative circumstances and stay right where we are. If I, again, wake up every day and I just think negativity, I'm going to die, this is going to go wrong, I'm probably going to wreck my car, my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, spouse is going to hate me, or whatever it is, or I'm going to lose my job, if that's all you're thinking all day long, then we should have no surprise when those things happen to you. But if we shelve all those thoughts and say, you know what, that's the old way, this new way is now beginning to look at what is the very best, and that's the foundation. So your foundation becomes one of, hey, I know that when my thoughts are gone, I am at peace. So what could we say that is one of your characteristics? Peace. Well, how does peace feel? It feels amazingly energizing and lovely. Okay, so your energy and your love, those are two other truths for you to start putting in your brain and start thinking about those things all the time. The next thing would be, if I'm that peaceful and that loving, man, that feels really happy and that feels really joyful and that feels really, really good. Then you are also joy. So these are your kind of basis that you're going to start putting your foundation on. The world is going to try to interject thoughts into your mind through TV, through commercials, through movies, through all kinds of media that is going to try to tell you how awful you are and how awful the things are and how awful the world is. You do not have to look at those things. You can absolutely look at something else. And so we're trying to see a world through way better vision than what's been handed through to us, to try to take us into fear and to take us into things that are really not beneficial to us. So anything that benefits you out of love, out of peace, out of joy, out of happiness, I would say definitely think upon those things. There are many verses, even in the Bible, that talks directly of those things. Grab one or two or three and start putting them around you and writing them on everything. And begin to set that foundation that is you and all these other things that are not you. And so I guess the point blank of it is, if you believe in God or not, if he has everything, if he knows everything, if everything he has he gave to you, he doesn't need you to suffer one little bit. That is not his purpose for you. He only wants your very best because you're integrally connected to him. If you suffer, he suffers. If there is a part of God that needs to suffer, then you are suffering. But there is no need of his to suffer. You have chosen it. Now I'm asking you to unchoose it and choose something way better and way more fun and way more vibrant and way more alive. And so we're going to start choosing life more and more and allow that to speak to us rather than choose death, which is really just the absence of life, because there is no opposite of life, because it's inclusive of everything. It's total. But death is just simply nothing. And so we're not going to continue to look at death and destruction and disease as something when it's just the lack of everything. And so all that was really to kind of get at this point of bringing this individual that called me to the point of realizing that she is way more than all of the things that she's staring at and the negativity that she's staring at. And when I begin to interject that peace and that love back into her mind, she begins to be at ease and joy returns. So this is your call. So again, this is now recorded. You can listen to this anytime that you are having a bad day. And I recommend that you do it many times until it becomes automatic to you. And now you circumvent what took me 3 years to get almost instantaneous when I would have a thought about dropping a pin and deciding to have a bad day on the witness of one account of dropping a pen and saying, oh, it's going to be a bad day. I mean, that's ridiculous. And so it literally happened that, oh, that's just a pin dropping. That's just a bill in the mail. And it's all coming back. It's not bad. It's not good. It just is. And so these are things that we've been hitting on often. So this is another way for you to think about it and look about it. And I hope that it sinks in another way and becomes more complete in you now. And so until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.